Good morning. Hello, 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 or good afternoon, or good evening, or good night, depending on where you are and when you are viewing this. Hi, I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I talk about how I lost 97.4 pounds after starting the ketogenic protocol, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life like I did. Hope everyone is well. It finally stopped raining in my part of the world. It has been the wettest couple of months I can remember, and I've lived here almost all of my life with a 4-year diversion to Boston. Um, so today's topic is how many carbs can I get away with eating? I bet we've all asked ourselves that question one time or another. First of all, a little housekeeping. If you are new to this platform, Crowdcast, if you are here live, there is a speech bubble with a question mark in it where you can pin questions, comments, observations, a joke if you have one, and it is easy for me to see it and then respond, and some nice on-screen things that happen. There is also a poll that I've posted just asking about, just asking about your ability to resist carbs. So if you want to participate in that, if you are on Crowdcast viewing this on replay, you can still add to the poll. I found out. Thank you to Scott who let me know that. All right. I learned the ketogenic protocol. At the time, it wasn't called the ketogenic protocol. It was Dr. Westman's no starch, no sugar. I had given up on losing weight. I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes, which I knew was in my future. Googled how to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. Came across the white coat video of Dr. Eric Westman of Duke University. And it's the so-called page 4 diet. Low starch, no starch, no sugar. And it has evolved into the ketogenic diet. Why ketogenic? Because when you reduce your carbohydrate intake sufficiently, where your liver's not pumping out glucose, sugar, for fuel, your body flips to turning ketone bodies or fat for fuel. And that is being in a state of ketosis, hence ketogenic diet. So, first of all, if someone can let me know that you can see and hear me, that is always a question because who knows. So let's say you're embarking on this and you've got your food list, although you don't really need a food list. It's fatty sources of protein, non-starchy vegetables in limited amounts, full fat dairy, limited amounts, and neither the vegetables nor the dairy is required. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop eating when you've had enough. That's it. So say you've get, okay, yes, okay, thank you, DH, you can see in here. I appreciate that. So say you're embarking on this and you're kind of, well, I was a novice. Although I knew that low carb worked for me since 1977. At the time, it was the induction period of Atkins. I was in college. I'd put on 12 or 13 pounds. I did got the book, did the induction, lost the weight, tossed the book. And then a couple of more ventures into low carb, the induction period, over the next, 35 years. And I would do it, and then I would get off course, or I would buy into the low fat piece is the way to go, or the plus, there was the emotional piece. At some point, I became a very young mother. My husband worked 3 jobs so that I could stay at home with the very small children. I was a little bit isolated, a little bit pity party. There you go. Weight piled on. But so say you are going to do this, and you okay, I understand. I have to keep my carbs 20 grams or fewer if I'm going to do the as Dr. Westman calls it, the prescription strength, as opposed to the over-the-counter keto, which some people can do and have success. I can't. I need full strength, 20 grams or fewer. Then we start playing with our minds. Okay, well, how many carbs can I actually get away with eating? And, or okay, if it's just 20 grams of carbs, what if I just have those 20 grams in Oreo cookies? Will that work? Well, it might. I don't know how many grams of carbohydrate, total carbs, not net, are in an Oreo cookie. I'm going to guess a lot. So let's just for giggles, let's say, I don't think it would be, say it's 4 cookies. And that's what you'll eat that day. Okay, that doesn't make much sense, does it? You're going to try to fuel your body and have nourishment from 4 Oreo cookies? That doesn't make sense. But not only that, not only logistically, hey, Judy, did you get my message, by the way? I sent you a message via Patreon. Um, Judy Porterfield writes, "Good morning, Casey and all from Michigan. And let me go ahead and say hello to a couple people. Love this topic this morning." Writes DH. Kimberly writes, "Good morning, friends." And Kimberly has been so generous. I appreciate it. Mother Hubbard writes, "On a difficult day, this is me." Meaning, how many carbs can I get away with? I'm having a cruddy day. What can I eat and still get away with that? So this is kind of where we can find ourselves. And it doesn't help that, for instance, if you're if you're trying to deal with a cruddy day, and Judy writes, keeps trying to load, that is an individual screen thing. So refresh your screen unless someone else is having issues, because everything seems to be on go here. So just refresh your screen. Unless you're talking about something else, Judy. Okay, so anywho, so it doesn't help that we have been it's been spoon-fed to us, you should pardon the expression, by the media, by food manufacturers, by growing up in a Western culture of bounty, that if you're having a bad day, you deserve some food. You deserve a treat. So we have to, first of all, detach that thinking. Bad day, let me have some food. I'm feeling a little sorry for myself, let me have some food. My boss was mean to me, let me get the Ben and Jerry's. Oh, and somebody remind me about the Ben and Jerry's thing in just a minute. I'll come back to it. Um, so we have that. We have the mindset of, if there's a bump in the road, we need to find some food. I'll say it again. And you can buy the sticker and the magnet below on replay from my spread shop. If hunger's not the problem, food is not the solution. But let's step back a little bit further and ask ourselves, okay, let's take the food piece out of it. Let's take the ketogenic, the carbs, the 20 grams. Let's take that away from that. Let's think about the mindset. The idea of, what can I get away with? Or how much can I get away with? Is this the way to enter any kind of situation? Let's use, you just entered into a fully committed relationship. Does it make sense to ask yourself, I'm in this monogamous relationship. How much fooling around can I get away with before it blows up in my face? Is that a healthy way to enter that? But let's take it to something maybe a little bit broader. Very, very many of us, many of us have found ourselves in a situation where we have more debt, more credit card debt, particularly, than is good for us. And we have a history of buy now and pay later, but we don't always do the paying later altogether. So we have, 3, 4, 5 credit cards with lots of debt on it. Okay, sometimes it happens that credit cards can come in handy. But if we're and I know times can be tough. We have to do what we have to do. Sometimes what we have to do is spend less. But if we're trying to unload our credit card debt, sending it on to another credit card is not necessarily the answer. But let's say this. Say we're not in financial distress, we just spend a lot of money, wisely or not. First thing you got to do is maybe quit putting more debt on the credit card, right? So that would be the equivalent of, okay, first of all, I'm going to quit eating a bunch of junk food. Okay. Okay. Hold please. JACK is waiting for a cookie. He's going to go to that cushion back there. I hope. Yeah. Poor old thing ambling around. So that's first. So that's like, okay, I'm going to lay off the junk food. That's my first step in trying to follow the ketogenic protocol and get to under 20 grams a day. So, first of all, you say, okay, I'm going to quit ordering pizza on credit card unless I'm going to pay it off immediately. I'm going to quit buying another pair of shoes. I do not need to treat everybody at the dinner table with my credit card. So, okay, you make that first step. Now you're kind of a place, okay, I've got that under control, but I need to get out from the debt. The equivalent meaning I need to get this body weight off of me. I need to come off of these medications. I need to feel better. If you're trying to come off of credit card debt and you say, well, what's the least I can do to tell myself I am addressing the credit card debt? The least you can do is pay the minimum balance, the minimum payment rather, not minimum balance, the minimum payment on all the cards. It's a good first step, but those of you who know anything about mathematics, if you pay the minimum, you will never pay that card off, ever. So that's if that's the least you can do, not because it's actually you don't have an option, but because it's the least you can get away with and still tell yourself you're getting out from debt. Maybe that's not a great thing. If you want to feel better, come off of medications, lose body weight, get your alertness back, don't have acid reflux, feel better, joint pain resolving, maybe entering the situation with saying, how many carbs can I get away with eating? Because what you're saying is, what's the most I can eat and still get away with? Well, getting away with something shouldn't be what determines how much food you eat. Your hunger should, right? Your hunger and your nutritional needs should determine how much food you eat. And if you're following page 4, if it's not on page 4, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Page 4 is fatty sources of protein, limited amounts of non-starchy vegetables, limited amounts of full-fat dairy, and I mean limited. You're going to be under about 20 grams of carbs a day, unless you're just stuffing your face with, 72 boiled eggs or a 96-ounce steak a la John Candy from The Great Outdoors. Even if it's very close to zero carb, if you way overeat, that's not going to work. So instead of asking ourselves, how many carbs can I get away with? Ask ourselves, how much food do I really need? And if I don't really need carbohydrate, it's not an essential macronutrient, then it just becomes, how much food do I need? Let me see, let me ask, let me check in with my body. Oh, okay, not hungry? Okay, good. Peckish? I'll push the peckishness. So many of us are regimented. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner. If we're in an office environment, and I didn't spend a lot of time in the office because I was in real estate. So a lot of time was spent out of the office. When you're in the office, what happens about, I don't know, 9:45 or 10 a.m.? Menus start coming out of the drawers at reception. What are we going to eat today? Well, I'm not really hungry. Oh, we're ordering from, Gino's. Oh, okay. And we just have, we've just eaten breakfast an hour and a half ago. So we have to get a handle on not eating if we're not hungry and not thinking about how much can I eat and get away with it. Now, true confession time. There is a food which I have absolutely wondered, how much can I get away with eating this and remain in ketosis? It's a very specific, unique food, and I really only eat it when I'm in Colombia. It is made from totally unripe plantains. And the process, and maybe I'll try to remember to attach a video. I'll try to make a little video because I have some footage of the patacones. They're called patacones. They're smashed, fried plantain chunks. Some parts of Latin America, they're called tostones, and I'm sure they have other names. It's made from unripe plantains. If some of you know, let me know. I think in Cuba, in Puerto Rico, they're called tostones. I like them. They're not on page 4, but they're not sweet. But they're bound to have more starch than, say, broccoli. But I don't know. So I try to limit them. Last time I was in Colombia, I really enjoyed the patacones. Either when we're staying at Amparo's house and Paula makes them, or my husband makes them at La Casita Fea on La Finquita. And I stayed in Gatosis, but I probably didn't need to eat that many. They were really good. So I am no Wonder Woman when it comes to avoiding foods that may or may not be higher in starch. I'm going to take a quick look and see if anyone has joined in the fun with the poll. Okay, so the question is, how challenging has reducing carbs been for you? The possible answers are really hard. I'm still learning what foods to avoid. Next one, kind of hard. I know what to do, but I have trouble doing it. Welcome to the club, sister. Next answer, next option, much better than when I started. Not perfect, but better. Next one, I'm confident that I have things under control. And next one, it's no longer a challenge. It's part of my life. That one, I would answer that last one. And so what we have is 25% saying it's part of my life, 25% of the respondents saying it's much better than when I started, but not perfect, just better. 50% writing kind of hard. I know what to do, but I have trouble doing it. I think that probably sums up all of us at one point or another. I'm at the, it's not hard. And if I really needed to, I would just not eat the patacones in Colombia. Be very good though. I really like them. And so, as with so much of making any kind of a change in our life, and particularly one where it regards food, it's the mindset that we need to get in front of. Not even necessarily the logistics or the details. We have to get and we have to we have to rejigger our thinking. And it's hard. Human brains are stubborn. Judy Porterfield writes, I would love that recipe of the plantains, Casey. Thanks. Be careful. They're delicious and they are probably higher in carbs than, like I said, green beans. I don't know. And they're deep fried, which I don't have a problem with. And they need to be very unripe green. It's actually hard to peel them. They are so unripe because the peel wants to stick to the plantain. If you get very ripe plantains, they're quite sweet, and they're often used sautéed in butter as a dessert because they're very sweet. Anywho, I will see about putting together that footage. I've got so many things I want to put together the footage, and I haven't done it. By the by, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to a little break for a commercial. You do not have to buy one thing to be 100% successful at the ketogenic protocol. Nothing. I will happily sell you a green journal book, which is full of, and these sell every month. I'm really gratified. And it's got stuff. You can go to my blog on the sidebar, and then that'll take you to Amazon. Or a t-shirt. This one reads IC and IW, Go Keto with Casey, which stands for I can and I will. Plus there's lay off the carbs, food, food is not the boss of me, etc., etc. If you're watching this on YouTube replay, you can see a link to my Spreadshop below. And I have a private support group on Patreon. Thank you. Some of the patrons are here, where I do 20 pre-recorded morning snippets a month, every weekday. I do them. I've now completed number 1939 of the video snippets on Patreon. You can have a free week's trial, 7-day free trial. If you like it, you stay. You don't, you won't. And if you do, it's $5 a month. All right. Let's turn our attention to the comments. And I do want to thank last week's live stream and my subsequent blog post that I did on Monday was rather self-indulgent. And I had such nice feedback and comments from people. And what it was expanding my universe in regards to my public facing content, going beyond keto with Casey. So thank you very much for those of you who took the time to write, either commenting on my blog post or commenting on YouTube or sending me direct messages. Kimberly writes, years ago, I went to dinner to a friend's house and they made those plantains. They were amazing. I know, right? I'm gonna have to pump myself up for this. When we were at Amparos, which is in Pereira, Risaralda, Colombia, where we stay, beautiful townhome. There's a housekeeper and a cook, Paula, who's a good cook, and they eat 3 meals a day. I'm not kidding, 3 meals a day. Like sit down and eat a meal. Ooh, I just have to resist. But there's almost always patacones. Hey, Judy Porterfield writes, this week's weight loss, plateau broken, was 3.7 pounds. Judy, you've been doing this a long time. Is there anything that you can identify that resulted in that change? Sometimes the weight comes on because of hormones or water retention and it goes away for the same reason, lack of water retention, or sometimes we change our behavior. Can you share if you want to? You don't have to. It's, privacy totally protected here. And we have a question from the speech bubble. Watch what comes on the screen. The question comes on the screen. You talk about changing our thinking. How did you go about doing that? I appreciate the question. It seriously took me getting. Here, let me give JCK another cookie. Here you go, buddy. It took me, as the phrase goes, I was so far down, everything else looked like up to me. I've had cancer 3 times, starting when I was pregnant with our 3rd child. That was very dramatic and scary, and Duke University doctors and biopsies and lots of stuff while I was pregnant. And then 2 more times over the next however long, 15 years. That was scary. But I found that easier to take than the idea of having to take insulin for diabetes. Because even in my nascent education about nutrition and physiology, I knew that type 2 diabetes was behavior created. I knew it was next. I was very heavy. Well, you can imagine, I'm 5'1". Stick 100 pounds on me. Please don't. Not again. And I didn't feel well, and I was down on myself. It was the conundrum where I had a great life, best life of anybody I know. And I was so unhappy in my brain with myself, not with my life. And everything hurt. So I gave another stab. How to not to take insulin for type 2 diabetes came. I'd never seen the white coat video before. I knew the mechanics of, induction of Atkins, and I knew some of the stuff. But that video just spoke to me, as I've said in front of Dr. Westman many times. I don't know whether it was his calm demeanor or his boyish good looks that just, okay, let me try this. It was not a promotional video. It was a genuine video made by one of his students years and years ago to his clinic patients at Duke. And it was intended for the Duke intro web, and it got into the wild. Anywho, so I tried it. And after about 4 days, 5 days, I felt so much better. I mean, it was like, what? I'm not talking about the weight. I'm talking about, whoa, I feel better. My joint's not hurting. That happened within days. That changed my thinking. I quit resisting the idea that it was more important for me to eat the food I want than to feel better. Because that's kind of where I was. More important for me to eat the food I like than to feel better. Stubborn, stupid human tricks. I'm telling you, we do things against our own best interests. And no other species does that I know of. DH writes, great, Judy. And Kimberly writes, that's wonderful, Judy. Judy writes, thank you. It's been agile. LOL. I'm thinking it was eating lighter chicken power bowls at home, etc. Chicken power bowls instead of more beef. Oh, and also less fat and dairy. I didn't realize it would make a big difference. Less heavy cream too. So keep in mind, just because it's on page 4, particularly dairy and vegetables and like butter and stuff, doesn't mean it's unlimited. Those are limited. Why? Well, because vegetables are where most of the carbs would come from. About a cup of non-starchy vegetables before cooked and about 2 cups of leafy greens before cooked will get you to about 10 or 12 grams of carbohydrate. So you're right there. By the way, back to this. What if I just decide I'm just, I'm just gonna have a Quest bar and I'll let that be my carbs. That came up in a suggestion from the patrons for a use this week for a snippet. I looked it up. I don't eat Quest bars. I looked it up. A Quest bar, 24 grams of carbohydrate in one bar. That would be more than I eat. That's more carbs than I eat in 3 days. Do what you want to do. But let's not tell ourselves that 90 seconds of eating a treat is going to fix my life. No. Don't blame keto for what the cheat meal did or what the keto snack did or what the Quest bar did. And getting back to, and Judy writes, yes, it sure helped and energy is up too. Yay. Back to the Ben and Jerry. So here's the new thing. So Ben and Jerry, I think it's Ben and Jerry's. I don't think it's Haagen-Dazs. So they have, sometimes you just don't feel like sharing. So it shows young people, young, thin people with, they're 20, eating ice cream. I just don't feel like sharing sometimes. So, it shows them eating, they're going to eat the entire pint. But sometimes you feel like sharing. So get a scoopable. All that is a really bigger container. And you know what that means? Let's not kid ourselves. We don't get that to share. We get that to eat the entire larger container. It's brilliant marketing. But that just means those young people, they're going to have type 2 diabetes in, I don't know, the next 15 years or so, if they're eating the entire Ben and Jerry's. We have to be not gullible when it comes to food manufacturers marketing. It's their job to sell us stuff. But we don't have to just because they say so. If a food marketer said jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, would we all do it? I mean, it's the question that we ask our children, and generations have been asking their children. Why the Brooklyn Bridge? I don't know. So how much can you get away with? Try to plug in anything else. Okay, I am in recovery from alcohol. I'm not speaking example. Someone is in recovery from alcohol. How much tequila can they get away with drinking? What would you say to that person? No, sorry, honey. Some people can drink tequila and not have an issue. Sorry, Casey. Some people can eat popcorn and not have an issue, or peanut butter, or French fries. Sorry, Casey. You can eat that. You have permission to, and you have, you're an adult, so you can make that decision. But don't cry if you're not willing to take the consequences. It's time we adult ourselves. We engage in adulting about our food choices. And some of us are really long in the tooth to not have already done this. Kimberly writes, there's so much talk about, quote, net carbs. I finally realized it's just a way to eat more carbs. Honey, have you not been listening? How many times have I said total carbs, not net? Net carbs just means more carbs. It's just a way to eat more carbs. I did it. It completely stalled my weight loss. No more net carbs for me. I have been listening. I know you have. And yes, I know you have. And you have been very kind and generous. And I recognize and appreciate that. I like big picture thoughts. And I like analogies, which is why I think if we take the word anything about food and we plug it into a different circumstance, a la the credit card debt, or saying, I just really need a break today, and I think I can really stay on track if I just give myself a treat every now and again. Okay, a treat would be what? Would it be a candy bar? By the way, the Atkins bars are candy bars. Let's not play. What does that do? So you're okay with kind of essentially derailing things because it only takes it would not take much for me to derail my body chemistry to where I'm out of ketosis, and it takes longer to get back in than it does to get out. Ooh, a chicken just yelled. Um, find an analogy where I'll just feel better if I'll do better if I just, oh, well, let's look at to young people. If your kid says, I just think I'll get through high school better if I skip one day a month, if I just go to the movies instead. Would you accept that? I think I'll get through better if I give myself a treat. You come up with your analogies. You'll do better than I. Judy writes, I think sometimes we get into a rut with eating, and when I broke out, it worked. Exactly. I eat differently now than I did a year ago. Certainly different than 5 years ago. And Lord, have mercy, different than when I started this. The foods are not different. The amount is different. I require less fuel. And I don't mind being in a rut food wise. I just need to not eat it because that's what I've been eating for the last 6 months. Okay, maybe I don't need that much. Maybe I need, maybe I'd do better with 2 eggs instead of 3, and 1 slice of bacon instead of 2. You know, I don't know. Half a burger instead of an entire one. Just because it comes in a burger doesn't mean we cook it, we have to eat the whole thing, right? We need to become comfortable with eating less and not finishing our, we're not clearing our plate. Clean plate club. Not going to do us any favors. Judy writes, my body is happier again. LOL. Yay. I'm glad for that. Thank y'all for, let me look at the poll again. Give the results. Okay, so we're 33% say it's kind of hard. I know what to do, but I have trouble doing it. 16% much better than when I started, not perfect, but better. 16% I'm confident that I have things under control. And 33% it's no longer a challenge, it's part of my life. Fantastic to all of us. No one wrote kind of hard. I know it. Oh, no one wrote really hard. I'm still learning what foods to avoid. So that's good. So maybe all of us have a little bit of experience. Make it a meaningful day. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer, total, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below. Don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop eating when you've had enough. Be patient and persevere and do what Judy did. Tweak. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. I very much appreciate it. Be sweet. Just don't eat sweets.